Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 333, the Cobra-La Renaissance and Destro Issue 1. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Paul Deadly Pencils.
What's up, everybody? Berg.
Robosaurus.
Oh, that's me. Oh.
And because it is 333, Cujo's in the house. Yo!
You were expecting someone different.
Yeah, man. You're in
Welcome
for a
back,
surprise
welcome
and a
back.
royal treat, GI Joburg listeners. Cuj, my man, how you been? It's been a while.
Ooh, hey brothers. It's good to see you, gentlemen. It's been good. I'm still transversing or traveling across the continent like Kung Fu. Not anything like Kung Fu, but no, I'm in Colorado Springs now. That's 6K elevation, so you know the wind is moving. But life is good. No complaints. They got Destro in the comic book store, so what could go wrong?
Awesome.
A
So you're
lot.
local. How far away is it?
Well,
Walking distance?
you know, I
Or
make
do you
my
have to take a
moves
train or a
by
bus?
design. No, I live right downtown. About 5 stories up if you're looking. But yeah, there's a comic book store about 3 blocks away. Escape Velocity.
Hey.
I know you guys don't turn up on Twitter, but they've been around for 16 years. Good dudes behind the counter. They'll always talk Destro. I was just there.
Any
Oh
toys?
yeah.
Have they got some classified in cases?
You know what? I didn't see any plastic, but Destro was the featured one of the 6 featured comics of the week. So when we get to you guys, the writer, the inker, the colorist, tune in, guys. It's gonna be worth listening to.
Good people.
Sweet. For our pod, GI Joburg took part in an awesome episode of Podcast from the Pit. Thank you to
Yeah.
Kelsey.
We were
to
the
Eric.
guys from sunny South Africa.
Yeah.
For a change.
If you want to get the scoop, check out Podcast from the Pit. If you like what they do, give them a sub, give them a thumbs up, do all the things, grow the channel, because yes, it's wonderful to see another bit of Joe content out in the world.
Yeah, they're hoping to hit
Mhm.
200 by the end of the year. Hopefully they can hit that in the next 2 days. Let's do it. Make it happen.
I did my part. I see you guys.
Hell
Good boy. And exciting
doing
news,
your
GI
part?
Joburg. We started promotional work on our next PlayMotion extravaganza,
What?
International
Really?
Backyard 4, entitled Demons.
Subtitle.
We've got our
Demon.
trailer cut and published. If you want to check that out, check out the GI Joburg channel or just check out Demons trailer. It might be the first hit you see. I hope.
Oh my
I don't know.
goodness. If we're lucky, there's nothing else called
YouTube?
demons in the history of the world.
Well, it's a contentious title. I mean, it's a naughty
Provocative.
word. Yeah, and it's on major platforms. I mean, you'll see it on our Instagram, on our Twitter, on our X.
Formerly
And
known as.
I think that's enough of the current events to talk about. We are going to get into, firstly, once was a man, Cobra Commander, the most recent SDCC release from Hasbro.
Ooh.
Oh, gosh. Right on time,
Steve-
Paul. Thank you.
Steven, can I
Yes,
intercept for 1 second?
please.
I would, you know what? I would put out a blanket, not challenge, invitation. I know there's some big YouTube accounts out there, and they're always crone about Star Wars and whatnot. You know what? Review Demons. Turn up for GI Joe, baby. Everybody
Good.
is. Review
Come on.
Demons. Get them out there. I
GI
see
Joe
you,
has a
Critical
renaissance.
Drinker. I see you. What about D-Day Cobra? I see you.
Hell
We know
yeah.
you guys turn
Get
up.
these people to, talk about us for once. Stop talking about Star
Do
Wars,
it.
that stale
We dare
old
you.
franchise that no one watches anymore.
What are you scared? Yeah.
Moonlight 47 says that he did just punch it into the YouTubes, and Demons 1985 was the first entry. So it seems we're contending with an actual film. Is there a horror film called Demons?
Yes, there's
there
actually a whole
must be.
bunch of things. I scrolled down for at least the first 20
Oh,
results. We're not in there, but the short is. So if the short is it's the first short I saw. So
Shorts is the way of the future, guys. We
There you
digest
go.
our entertainment 1 minute at a time, sometimes 30 seconds at a time. Anyway, Cujo, I'm excited to have you on the show for the simple reason that out of the four of us, you were the man who got Mirror Face Cobra Commander first. And not just first in terms of like getting him before us, but he was your first GI Joe, or should I say
True.
Cobra. He was the guy responsible for kicking Boba Fett out the door, like, so long, buddy.
That old
You've
chunk.
spent enough time as Cujo's favorite action figure. It's my time to shine
Fake
now.
news. Oh.
My
Yeah, no,
Hey.
I do have a history with Cobra Commander.
Tell us the tale.
Ooh, I'll keep it quick because honestly, I got a lot to say this episode. But no, he was my first figure under the Christmas tree, and like many people do, I kind of peaked, and I got in trouble. It's not important. 2 weeks later, I was able to open him, yeah, no, he was. The early Cobras were dangerous. He was dangerous. That's what I remember. The gun fit in the back. I mean, you're like, oh, this is a real toy. Okay, there's a file card.
That's
All
a
right.
very cool feature.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
it really
honestly,
is.
it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat. But yeah, that's my history.
Now-
I saw the mirror.
That makes you an interesting test bed because by the time the three South African boys came into GI Joe the movie was already something we could rent at our video stores. So it was part and parcel
Look at
of our
you.
GI Joe experience. For you, Cujo, was it a betrayal in 1987 when you found out that your beloved mirror-faced Cobra Commander was in fact an insidious snake man from Cobra-La?
Well, look, I don't think it threw just the fans for a loop. If you recall back in the day, I had the honor of chatting with Larry Houston, who looked at that script and said the same thing to Hasbro, like, what is it, sci-fi? Honestly, it's one of pop culture's first black pills, if you will. It's like, oh, G.I. Joe's this. Nope, it's this, just in a snap. Oh, you're fighting outdoors? No, you're fighting in an ice cave. So that's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know if it threw me because the movie looked so good and it was so hot at that time. Yeah, I'm not that
It was
rich.
too counterculture, Cujo. You were like, yeah, I'll take it. You weren't too married to the idea of Cobra Commander
It was
being
hard.
a
It was
COD
hard to
salesman.
accept the snake, though, dude. That once a man thing was tough. It was tough.
Once a man.
Ah, yes, seeing your antagonist, your chief baddie, reduced to a ever increasingly more mindless beast. Like he starts out and he kind of still can walk, then he can't stand, then he becomes a snake completely. Like I felt that was perhaps the most horrifying aspect of what was already a very Lovecraftian and dark and gloomy and scary and bug infested adventure.
Yeah.
Seeing Cobra Commander become just degenerate was tough to watch as a 5-year-old.
And it makes subsequent watches. It makes like subsequent rewatches like also like kind of more horrific because you know that that's coming. So you sort of root for Cobra Commander. I mean, the way that scripting is done is that you kind of are rooting for Cobra Commander already, but you're rooting for him more now on your second watch. You're like, no, he's going to become. Maybe this time he won't be. Maybe this time he'll say the right thing, or Globulos will like I don't know, like go
Kids,
I think
yeah,
the
object
upshot of all of
permanence.
this-
We didn't have that yet.
The upshot of all of this is, for most people, for various reasons, Cobra-La is a huge departure and, in many cases, not a welcome one, depending on your personal vintage and how you like to take your GI Joe. So the fact that Hasbro is leaning into it so heavily, with the assistance of Cobra Commander's 5-part miniseries, like very, very married to the Cobra-La element, it's throwing it back in our faces again, and we need to offer a reaction. Are we on board? Are we not? How can we deny that the action figure itself is bloody cool? Perhaps we should start there. Like, this new Once a Man Cobra Commander, does it hurt you that it's an SDCC exclusive, Paulie?
It would hurt me more if I was like diehard collecting classifieds. It's that pain has already been that should I say that blow has already been like struck at me when they did Serpentor and Mindbender. So that was actually the death knell for the line for me. Like as soon as they started doing that shit, I was like, Like as soon as it got like stupid like exclusive like that, I was like, no, done. So for me, I don't care because now I'm not going to get my hands on one of these ever, and I'm just glad that I'm not. Oh, I hope I'm not like spoiling too much here, but I think this figure is very cool. I just don't think I think I can live without it. Is kind of what I wanted to say. Like it's one of those. If I get one, cool, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get one. I still want to rather get Serpentor and Mindbender. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Just
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
there's something very transitory about this figure because it's mid-transformation. I mean, it's a twofer. You're getting Snake Man Cobra Commander while he's still got legs. And you're getting...
Yeah.
I mean, this has been an outstanding element of Classified. Finally seeing the pets, not as slugs, but as movable, articulated action figures. Doesn't look like the Snake Man has articulation other than ball-jointed shoulders, but even that just adds so much character. The tail looks like it might be a bendum, or it might be. Do you reckon it's pre-molded to have that kind of?
Yeah, I
swoop
think
to it?
it's that. I think it's like pre-molded, but it's kind of malleable. So
Flexible.
I don't think you'll be able to. I don't think you'll be able to like pose it like
Straighten
a
it.
bendy. But I
Mm.
think it'll definitely, like, as you can see in the image here, we got an image of Roadblock with Cobra Commander wrapped around him, or coiled around him, rather. I feel like, it's tight enough to get that grip, or at least hopefully the final version will be without tearing and stuff. So
You made it sound like you had something to say yesterday when we spoke on Podcast from the Pit about this Cobra Commander. Or
dude,
this roadblock.
I think... I think Hasbro missed an opportunity here to do sort of an update of Roadblock, like a Roadblock version 2, if you will, or version 3 rather, should I say, in this classified line, because I think using this version of Roadblock for this image, and this is of course the very first one that's been released by the classified line, still got a lot of that video game aesthetic to it, a lot of gold and bright blues and things like that people didn't like. I feel like it really hurts the scene quite a lot. It takes away the nostalgic element. I mean, you're trying to, yes, you're trying to sell this feature on the figure, but you're also trying to sell the nostalgia, the moment from the movie. And this Roadblock only partially resembles that, Roadblock, if that makes sense. Like, it just, I just felt it jarring. I was just like, oh, okay,
Well,
like it.
let's
it was
get some
wasted.
responses around the room. Rob, do you feel the same way? Is this jarring, or is this a close enough approximation?
I mean, it fits in line with the classified. They're kind of marrying the animated version, this continuity, and pulling it into classified. I think I don't mind it. But what this image reminds me of, we're Cobra Commander with both your hands on my shoulders. What's poking me in the back?
Was that the last to go into the tail? Cujo, thoughts on Once a Man Cobra Commander, at least these first few talking points?
Oh, once a fan. No, I'm just joking.
Oopsie.
No, I'll tip my hand to the classified team. They're going deep cut. I'm not gonna make any discernment beyond that. It's not my first pick, but I mean, look, if you're gonna go niche, they did it right. There's not much play pattern for this figure, but hey, if you want to turn up and flex, yeah, there you are.
But that's probably why I think it's okay for it to be an exclusive, because it's not it's a variant, but it's not a variant of of a character that everyone will want to get. They are kind of taking a chance here by doing a Snake Man Cobra Commander, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the sense, like, I'm not gonna poo-poo Hasbro for making this an exclusive, should I say? It's like, despite the fact that, like, I'm not gonna personally go out of my way to get it, and that I just generally hate that whole model. Just being in South Africa, I hate that model. If I was in America, it'd be a different story. But my major thing is, like, I understand it's a risk, and this is exactly the kind of figure that they should be doing exclusives of, not Serpentor and not Mindbender, not stuff that like people
Yeah,
really
like kind of
want in
like
their
weird
collections.
niche stuff where like you
Yes.
know it will sell, but I mean you also know it won't sell in huge quantities. Like the exclusivity
Exactly.
of it is what drives people to want to get it over just getting, like another version of Roadblock.
Exactly right. But the figure itself, the toy, is beautiful. I think it's really, really well thought out. I love the fact that we're showing an image now of the faceplate on YouTube, where you get to see a lot of the circuitry on the inside of the faceplate. I think
How
that
does
is
he
such a
see
great
through
touch.
that thing?
Oh, the same way Ali Viper see, dude. But I'd love
Look,
that
getting-
kind of
getting us-
consideration was
putting-
put in.
Putting the
Yeah.
practicalities of how he sees in the aside and just deferring to the designers of the cartoon, because let's face it, like we got to see the inside of the faceplate in the animated movie, and so that question has been on my mind since time immemorial. But what I'm curious about is because the faceplate is like an accessory piece and it's not designed to fit into the mask, I presume. I mean, it's all starred up and cracked.
Or-
It's really just for posing. So, as transitory as the action figure is, this accessory is really just one scene. I mean, you can either have it as they've got it in this photography, like just lying in the snow, or you can have him holding it. But it's really not a practical accessory. Like in terms of play, this is just a moment in your game of like the faceplate falls away to reveal the snake face. It doesn't fit into the helmet because the helmet is a separate head. The helmet isn't practical. You can't fit it over the snake face. You've got to exchange heads
Yeah.
to give him mirror face Cobra Commander head.
That
Which
said,
makes
though,
him screen accurate, but like there's just not a play pattern that emerges from this presentation.
I'd rather have it than not have it, dude. That's my thing.
Okay.
Like, I think
Yeah.
it's a great,
Wow.
I think it's a great inclusion, and it shows some real thought behind the actual character and the moment.
It shows the
well.
thought that classified is like for adult collectors anyways is a photography vehicle. This is not toy for play. This is not a play feature. This is giving you finger food for your diorama setups.
Yeah.
As they've done here,
You
they've got
too can make
Cobra Commander doubled over in the deep background. In the mid
Yeah.
background, you've got his helmet just turned so you can't see that the mirror face is still on it. You can only see the back of the bucket. And then they've got the starred up separate mirror face piece in the foreground in sharp focus. So they've stacked it to tell the story, but
Well, consider this is a toy based off a 40, almost 40-year-old movie. And the toys themselves are priced not for children. It's definitely an adult toy.
I'm just saying they are absolutely leaning into the fact that, well, they know more than we perhaps, that classified are toys that people want to just take pictures of.
Also,
Not for kids.
I think I also like just going on to the figure. It's kind of a weird detail, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but earlier we had an image of Cobra Commander's backpack, which has got his
Venom
his
blaster.
gun, his handgun. Yeah, thank you. I never remember the name of that damn thing. And it's okay. This is like nitpicky, okay, but for me, I don't like that it's a reach behind your back kind of grip. I preferred having been like a like reach over your shoulder to your back grip. I would have preferred a reach under your shoulder to your back grip, which is always how the original felt for me. But I could be like
You were putting it in wrong, Paul. This is the way it should always be. He reaches over,
also like
pulls down.
but also fun feature to have, even though we don't see that in the show, in the movie. So like that was a fun little thing
They
to add
added
on.
their own details to it. Fantastic,
Exactly.
And you
If
can
for
take
anything,
that portion of the back, like that the whole holster backpack comes off to leave him just with a tattered uniform. Lovely insight from Rick Shattered Glass. Thanks for joining us, Rick. The snake can hold the mask in his hand, and you can have a to be or not to be moment. Tech versus organic all in one scene. Trust Rick to make it poetic. Lovely.
also, did you guys just want to because I feel like it's kind of pertinent to this conversation. Did you guys see that article that was released recently? It was like in the last 3 or 4 days where sales figures for action figures now surpasses preschoolers. So like the target demographic for toys is now surpassed being for children. It's now officially an adult thing. Like,
absolutely. I mean, that I would have
The die
assumed
with
it's been
us.
like that for at least the last 10 to 20 years. You know, kids, their play patterns have definitely moved far beyond toys. It's all digital now, as far
Totally.
as I know, in the majority.
I just think I just had to sort of like smile at that and sort of sarcastically smile, because that is something that I've always been like quite vehement about, actually, since we started this podcast, that toy companies need to recognize adult collectors as an actual market, and they need to start embracing that market. And I feel like it's good that they're getting into it now, but they could have made so much more money had they, started in like 2010, when we were discussing this kind of thing. And it's also something I'm seeing in local toy shops, and I don't know if this is something that's happening overseas, but here in South Africa, you're starting to see some of the let's call them the bigger tourist destination malls in South Africa, like Mall of Africa and Sandton City, and Cradlestone, where they have their Toys R Us and their toy kingdoms are now starting to have like a collectible zone, and all of the stuff in there is, your sort of like higher market figures, things like your Marvel Legends. I know it's not necessarily aimed at adult collectors, but it's got a bigger range of that stuff. It's got the collectible Barbie stuff that's in there now. It's got some more obscure figures that are going into those spaces, and your like super collectible Hot Wheels stuff is starting to go there. And I'm also, once again, I'm like, geez, guys, this is like 15 years too late. You should have done this ages ago. But now, because everybody's scrambling, because retail is difficult, they're like, oh no, we have to like think of something. Oh wait, who's got the money? So yeah, people aren't buying toys for their kids, and I think the toy industry was asleep on that. But anyway, that's a conversation for another thing. I just thought it would be pertinent to this because somebody also mentioned, like, or Rob, I think it was you that said, like kids can't afford this kind of stuff, so.
Well, people in the comments watching us live right now, I've also said that as well. Profit director, let's be honest, they know, adults are buying classifieds, not kids. Moonlight, kids can't afford toys now. More on budget to get that extra 10 times SSR roll in the gacha games.
Yep, totally.
Hell yes, but still.
On to Cobra-La. It wasn't just Once a Man Cobra Commander that we have to talk about.
What? No, come on.
The hit parades continue with Nemesis Immortal.
Oh, that doesn't roll off my tongue, man.
As featured in Cobra Commander miniseries, but also, I mean, you can commend them on the synergy that the comic books have with the upcoming releases. They clearly have an inside edge on Hasbro, and they know which characters to pump in anticipation of their plastic, because Nemesis Immortal is already getting package shots on live streams from Lenny and the team. Paul, you're our action figure man. You're our classified man. Does it hurt you? Do you want this guy?
You're the guy
hurts me a little because I like this character. I like the original vintage figure, and yeah, it's something cool to have. And actually, what's also like a super cool bonus to this is the clam. It comes with the clam.
What?
If I'm not mistaken?
No.
Yeah, I read somewhere that it comes with the clam. That the clam thing is supposed to be packaged with
small little moist clam. That's wild.
No, there ain't no space for the clam in that pack.
Well, apparently, I've just been reading rumors that there's something about the clam, so we might actually get.
I think people just like looking at the clam. That's what it is. They're just interested in like seeing that.
But like the clam aside, it would be cool to have the clam trap thing. I think that's really awesome.
Well, it exists somewhere in Hasbro's offices.
Yeah, they've made a prop for it. So I just
that means they must be making a toy.
Immortal. And, well, whatever. It's important for me. They can't. It's like Shockwave is
They
Shockwave.
can take that away from you, and they have. You will never.
I
no
hadn't
one will ever
realized, but
acknowledge.
Nemesis Immortal comes with the back of tentacles, like the interchangeable back piece. Like you could take out his wings and have that weird green tentacle-y thing, which
Yeah.
never really made sense on the original action figure, or did it?
It's a trap. It's not meant to be like
It's
a
not
thing.
even
for
meant
him.
to
It's-
be
you put
there.
you put it
They've
around the
got it
GI
pictured
Joe.
on his back.
Yeah.
Well, they've
it's-
been giving him that thing since they released him as Nemesis Immortal in 2008 in the
Yeah.
modern era line.
It would be wrong not to give it. Cujo, what are your thoughts on this big bad boy?
Ultimately, I do. I mean, adults do put these out, and I mean, it's worth mentioning that GI Joe is one of the few brands that they're seeing growth in the fandom. So it's interesting for everybody to be going back to old characters. I think they could be more ambitious. He doesn't do anything for me, but he's not horrible. I mean, somebody out there is going to like him. Those wings aren't
And
nothing.
his place
Paul's
in your
excited
wider
about
GI Joe kind of understanding. Like, do you like this guy, this tank with wings? Did you ever use him as a child?
He's definitely intimidating in the movie. No, because I don't really roll with Slaughter too hard, so there's just nothing for him to do. He's not interesting. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, what is curious to me is the artwork. If we flick back a few, the artwork that we've seen, the package back has Globulus on it. It has Nemesis Immortal
Cobra
on it,
Commander in the
and
clan.
Cobra Commander. There's a glaring omission, of course, and that's Pythona.
Yeah, but
Yes.
Zatanna says one step closer to Pythona.
Hopefully.
I think
It's
I'd
gotta
pop
come.
my classified
Positive
cherry
thinking.
for Pythona.
Oh,
Well,
I would pop that cherry.
Pythona at
Sure.
any scale, please. I mean, I'd want it most specifically from Super 7's forthcoming O-rings.
I love that custom that third-party vintage O-ring style Pythona that somebody did.
Mhm.
I think Ronald Hoffa's got it. That figure.
Only official
Yes.
stuff. No repro.
Yeah. No, I know, but
no garage band. It's
no
official.
garage band.
Hands in the house.
Yeah, no, Pythona would be amazing. I would absolutely love that. And also, while we at it, let's have some Royal Guards.
Well,
Because they're great.
that's what I was gonna say. Like for a brand that troop builds, what the hey, guys? Do an updated tactical version of the Cobra-La guard. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that would actually be amazing. And it seems, with them introducing it into the comic books, there's obviously a lot of interest in Cobra-La again. And even though I am a conscientious objector to Cobra-La as a concept in GI Joe, at least in the cartoons, I have come to accept it in the Skybound Energon universe. It's for me there it makes sense.
Nice transition.
It makes sense in the comic books. Because there is a grander scale to just the Earth, and it's nice to have from the very start of their version of GI Joe to have some sort of sci-fi elements to it. So it's like from the very start there was always sci-fi in their version of GI Joe, and it's another faction. You have the Transformers, you have Cobra-La, Cobra, and whatever else is going on in the grander universe as well. Yeah, you could do that too. And it's a cool concept. I think I've always enjoyed the concept of this kind of like techno-organic society. It's very interesting. It just obviously wasn't what I conceived of as classic GI Joe. But yeah, I'm on record before having said I think it's very cool in the context of Energon.
So Rob, you didn't rent the tape as a child.
No, I think the first time I watched it was with you.
Okay.
You would have rented it one night. You would be like, "Hey, dude, check out this cool movie."
No, I think maybe it was when my brother sent me the DVD. As late as that. Was that the first time you saw it?
It might actually have been that. Yeah, I think that's true. Because
okay, so you saw it in your 20s.
Yeah,
Mm.
in my 20s. I mean, before that, it was just those 2 episodes you had on a VHS tape. You know,
Right.
the
I still got my
Cobra-thon
VHS.
and the dog one.
Then I'm actually the outlier, I think.
I think,
Because
yeah, you never
my-
watched it.
My first GI Joe media was GI Joe the movie. Like this was my instructional
Absolutely
tape
wild.
on
You're like,
how to play GI Joe.
Ra must have been so weird to you, you know? Like, where are the aliens? Where's the, you know, like things that clamp onto people's faces and like, you know, kill them? Like,
You're like, Snake Eyes, that guy that gets tentacled in the first 5 minutes?
wait a minute.
Who the hell is Snake Eyes?
Background.
But guys, to be fair, like I know for myself, I quickly separated the two worlds. Like the comic book and the cartoon realm were like very different things. And I picked that up as a kid as well. So I'm sure you guys did too. I wouldn't be surprised if. Yeah, I would be surprised if you didn't. Let's put it that way. I
It
would
was
be
a little
surprised if you were.
confusing in real time, but no, I think that was the case with most people. Hama's book appealed to a much broader audience, obviously.
Yeah. No, I think so for sure.
What I want to say about the toy line. So if they so we got Nemesis Enforcer. Can't change my mind on that name. Once a man Cobra Commander. Hopefully, although nothing's confirmed, hopefully a Pythonodon the strip, and hopefully Royal Guards, and that would be amazing. And then maybe what they should do is, because I don't know how people will feel about Globulus, but Globulus you would have to do as like a deluxe kind of package because of his base.
He will definitely
And
be
then
an
his whole-
STC exclusive.
Oh, definitely. I think he would actually be a vehicle, to be fair. like
Haslab.
to be fair. But you know what I think would be like what would help that figure sell? Like if people were like on the fence about getting a Globulus figure, especially if they do it as a deluxe pack, they should put like an updated head for Falcon in that box. You know, like take away like Team
You're really
America.
not letting that go.
Like
Do over.
I'm not gonna let that go because they've done it again. Alpine looks like he should be in Team America as well. It's
Well, let's
terrible.
talk about
I
that.
hate
I'll
the
bring up
Alpine
some
crucifix.
images. We can do this.
Hmm.
We can get into
Oh.
it. Albert Pine.
Albert Pine.
I was going to end with him, but
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh,
Paul,
Let's just jump
Yeah.
forward.
have at it. Both barrels, my
Oh
friend.
man.
For those of you guys
he's
listening
like-
along without visual aids, I would look up his photography.
Classified Alpine for me from the neck down is great.
Okay.
But I hate the way his hat looks from the front perspective, from like looking at him like on a
it's
like
a
front
me.
perspective, like seeing front view.
Alpine.
Yeah, it's a Mia. Exactly. No, thank you, Kuj. You nailed it. It's exactly what it is. He looks a bit like Luigi with his green hat, and I just feel the face sculpt is it's not Alpine. It just feels like generic dude to me. I don't know. It just and it's it just
Playing
just,
devil's advocate, Paul,
Hmm.
if he had had a more intense face, it would take away from Alpine's more like light moments. I mean, he was often comic relief in the cartoon. That's how a lot of people remember him. He's kind of wisecracky. He was always diffusing a tense situation with a bit of humor.
Yeah.
So
Carter,
giving him a more
though.
like a harder expression might have been the wrong move.
Doesn't he have
So you
like the
think they're
Jaws
going-
face on the file card? He's like,
I like what Prophet Director says here. Alpine looks like a Fortnite figure. And yeah, I have to agree with that.
Oh.
It's like that's exactly my issue with it. It just feels
Shots.
too
fine.
And also, guys, I'm sorry, but this is gonna sound controversial. But I like if you look at him in the pack shot without the goggles on and stuff, and you see his face, he just looks really surprised all the time. He's like, whoa, a mountain, whoa, a door, whoa. Everything like he's like a puppy, everything's new. I can't stand that. Like I understand, like give him a lighter looking face. He doesn't have to look gruff, but he shouldn't look surprised at everything.
So you think
That's
they're going
kind of-
for more of like they're trying to represent the mood of the character from the cartoons rather than the comics or the style card?
Absolutely. Alpine's most outstanding moments were all in the cartoons. He's
I
kind of
suspect his face looks like that because the crotch binder is really tight there. Sorry, carry on.
It is.
I mean, I can remember an issue of Special Missions where
He's like,
Iceberg is tasked with climbing up a sheer face, and he's like musing to himself, like Alpine would have been a better pick for this situation, and yet he's not on the team. So it's like,
Wow.
even in areas where he would shine, he's not there. I think his shining moments in the comic book is also in Special Missions. Words of Honor, the one with the Nazi bomber and the nerve agent, and Alpine's like rappelling down and getting airtight onto this very precarious, big Luftwaffe plane that's sticking out of a glacier. Do you guys remember the one? Very good issue.
I do.
Operating on two different playing fields as well. Very
Take
cool.
it or leave it, I guess.
This is my.
But
Back
thought
when
about
GI Joe
Alpine.
books were exciting and told one story and concluded after 22 pages. All right, guys, we are going to talk about ARA issue 307 at the tail end of this podcast. So if you want to, stick around for that.
I thought we were gonna do Destro issue 1.
Oh, we're going to do Destro issue 1.
we're gonna do both.
Yeah,
But I mean, you
it
do
would be the
realize
one
the
that was fun to
original,
read.
the original figure also kind of had like a smug-ish look on his face. Like he's
Yes,
never
he
been
did.
super serious, even as is his vintage version. So
Yeah, but
I
he
mean,
just
it's
did the
not
original
out of
Alpine.
line for him to have like a very unique look to him.
If he's one-headed,
Yes, I do have the
should have-
vintage Alpine.
he should be gritting
Yeah,
his teeth because he's going to be climbing a mountain. I mean, if you want him in action. My only thought, because I've never seen this
wild
figure,
card image,
but
hey, Cooch.
definitely. But this is my thought that, like, when I think original Alpine, you think the gauntlets, you think the rope. It's a tactile figure. I think it works backwards from there. But those gauntlets don't impress me. And that rope looks a little girthy, guys. But I'm not going to complain too much. Yeah, that's it's not. Yeah, that's not going to hit.
Yeah, he's okay.
But he, I mean, looking at him like that with his like goggles on and his helmet, he kind of does look goofy. I will admit that. Like, I'm trying to stand up for this guy, you know, and especially for the people that like him.
You're trying to be devil's
He
advocate.
looks
That's
very
good.
goofy. He's just standing there like, oh, I'm gonna climb a mountain.
Alpine
Great fun.
advocate.
But
They're out
goofy is
there.
exactly the
They're out
thing.
there.
That's exactly my
true.
issue. He looks goofy and he looks surprised at like everything.
Which is
And I'm sorry if
interesting,
I've somehow ruined it for
with the
people.
original,
but if
you
it
know,
took-
like
yeah.
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 No, I don't think you've ruined it, Paul. I mean, I don't think you have that much power over people's opinions. You know.
No,
You
I
like,
don't. But
just
I mean, if it takes
torpedo that someone loved it, and suddenly they're like, "Wait a minute, he does look like Luigi or Mario." No,
but
I'm coming
there's
for
very
Paul
little
now.
else. There's very little else going for that figure, though. Like I'm sorry,
So you're
but
saying
I find it to be the
uninspired.
weakest link.
You're just
It's
like,
the
"What?"
weakest link. It's one of the
Can't be
weakest designs I've seen recently for classified. And most of the classified stuff has been pretty amazing.
They can't
So-
all be winners, you know. And thankfully, you know, you're not going to buy them either way. So
Yeah, but
Now,
other people
we are going to
will,
get
and
to
then
Storm Shadow 1988, but
Yes.
we're going to take a quick divergence because it is very timeless. I mean, with
Whoa.
Destro issue 1
divergence.
up on the slate for this episode, let's talk about the Iron Grenadier from Classified series. Yeah, he's got a tie and a duster. What do we think about that? Cujo.
I like the.
Paul.
Go for it.
Yes,
Go.
go.
No,
Yeah.
Cujo, go. No,
I
you go
don't have
first,
anything
Cujo.
yet. I'm still soaking it up.
Kudra's soaking it in. Paul, do you want to?
Okay. I see. This is the whole thing. Hold on. Whoop. I was just doing a Google search on something quickly. So it's for figure reference, of course. I love the redesign personally. Like, I think it looks really cool. Also surprised that they went like. Sometimes I think Hasbro's strategy is let's release the redesign and everybody shits in their pants. We'll just do a more classic version. It seems to be like their kind of strategy. So,
so you feel like they actually already have the classic head for this?
I think they do in backup. Yeah, because these guys, okay, so they have the whole trench coat vibe and everything, and it does look cool and it does work, and it is in my opinion, a good update to the original. You've got a lot of what makes the original cool you've got here. However, I'm sure a lot of people are upset by the fact that it's not 1-to-1 with the original. And I think that's going to bug a few people. But I dig it. I think they look menacing. I like the crests on the helmets. Like the way that they've done that crest, it's an interesting take. It's the uniform looks very what's the word? Prussian.
Scottish.
So yeah.
Prussian, yeah.
I find they look very Prussian, which I dig. And I don't know, I think these are great toys. I want one. I'm on the fence and I'm trying not to buy classified, and these are making me want to buy them. So that should say something.
I'm curious to know, in the chats, we have the Prophet Director in attendance. Gold-faced Destro is his avatar. I'm curious to know what he thinks of his new forces.
What the laird thinks.
Yes, indeed. But it's a handsome figure, and if they do, as I'm sure they will, a retro-carded IG in a more classic, like, supervillain, Hydra-esque uniform, these guys will make for interesting variation to that. Like, to make up your IG squad with these guys, with their lovely neckties and lapels and duster jackets, will, just vary Destro's forces a bit. You got sort of the cold weather gear, I guess, or you could just use these as officers or something. But the helmet is a win. I think, you can't really improve upon that, can you? I don't know.
Well,
we'll hear what people say when they're in hand.
Yeah. Like, in the box, they don't look as exciting. Like I'm so glad that the actual photo shoot looks as good as it does, because in the box they do it. The box packaging does take away a lot. And guys, if you can Google the Iron Grenadiers in pack shots, and you'll see what I mean. They do feel like they're missing something, but they're gonna look good out of packaging. I got a good feeling about these. Again, don't love the app crunch that Hasbro does for most of the classified figures. I really find it very distracting. Even on the Cobra Commander, it's unnecessary. I don't like that. But anyway, like, let's not poo-poo a cool looking toy.
Good. And Prophet Director says, I will get 2 of these as an honor guard, and I'll army build the retro card release. That sounds like...
Yeah, they're kind of like Iron Grenadiers Immortals, essentially,
Yeah. It's something different to spice up your display. But here we go. Paul, oh boy.
Oh, no.
Are you ready to take it away?
Am I?
Skip right to the good stuff.
So upset.
Storm Shadow version 2, 1988 style, urban camo, whatever you want to call him, the GI Joe one, or the non-Cobra one, the Arashikage one.
Reptile.
The redesign.
Scorpion.
Get it off your chest, boy.
This is a ninja, not a samurai, so I still don't understand why they put his swords on his hips, on his waist. And then on top of that, Storm Shadow's not left-handed, so he's not going to carry his swords on the right. And even if he was left-handed, he would still carry his swords on the left, because samurai do that, but he's not a samurai. So why in the F is he stuffed there on the right? Why did they do that? It's such a stupid design thought. It's very... Actually, no, I take that back. I know exactly why they did that, but they shouldn't have. They did it so that they could put a backpack on, and have it look better than the vintage does with the way that it keeps the sword. But yeah, I think they failed. I think that's the biggest misstep that they've done on this toy so far, on this design. Again, he's not a samurai. Samurai wear their swords on their hips, not ninja. Yeah, that is my biggest thing. And also, I don't understand why the gray camo, the Tetris blocks, why they always have to be so dark. Like, why can't they just make them like a lighter, softer gray? I think I just find them to be so contrasty, and it doesn't.
The high contrast is toyetic, Paul. Think about like Lieutenant Falcon's camo, for instance. That's a good example of just making it a little too low contrast. Like, there's not enough vibrancy to the
Yeah, but
color
it's distracting.
differentiation.
That's my issue. Like I find it very distracting. Like I find it to be a bit of an eye. Like it makes it too dazzly. Like,
Is it your
I don't
is
know.
an eyesore on your favorite figure of all time, 1988 Storm Shadow?
No, it's great. It's perfect. It's the right gray on that. That's
Uh-huh.
why I don't understand why they didn't just copy that vibe. Also, actually, something I really do like about this toy, I actually love the way they've done the head sculpt. It is a modern take on the original sort of flared hood, and Hasbro have proven on many occasions that they can't do a flared hood properly. So I'm glad that they tried something different with this. And
Give us an
I actually-
example. You're talking about Zartan.
no, Zartan is amazing.
Okay.
But the previous Arctic Storm Shadow's hood
Hmm.
isn't that amazing. The Red Ninjas that they did for the Marvel line, they're good enough.
The hand.
But there's always something off about it. Yeah, the hand ninjas. There's always something off about those hoods, the way that they do them. So this looks interesting. It's actually part of the head sculpt. Doesn't look like it's like removable or anything, which I think works. The extra armor bit that they've given him on his left breast, that's an interesting addition. I think if it was easy, it would be less of a pain if it was easy to remove. Like I appreciate that kind of idea, that kind of conceptual side of things, but Hasbro doesn't make it easy to remove these things if you don't want them on the figure, because you essentially have to cut them off. They don't clip or pin or anything like that. So it's like if you don't like it and you take it off, then you realize you're wrong. It's kind of a ball ache on that side, but everything else works for me. Also, and I think it's worth mentioning, I don't love Storm Shadow having a compound bow. Like even on the sideshow figure, like it might look impressive, but I don't dig it. I know why they do it. It's because it looks cool. But Storm Shadow is very much a recurve guy, and a compound bow isn't that great for a draw either. Like anybody who knows like bows and stuff like that, and me with my very very limited experience with a bow, drawing a compound bow is a lot of work. And if you're like Storm Shadow and your main weapon is actually using the bow, then a compound bow, it just doesn't seem like the right thing to go with. Unless there's some kind of thing with compound bows where they have like a faster draw and whatever. I don't know. But recurve just seems more his vibe. Anyway, it looks more traditional.
Meant to be that compact, or have they? Is it not meant to flip out? Like I don't anticipate the accessory will be able to extend, but it feels like the arms of the bow are too cinched in to like sort of. I don't know. It looks like they have joints, and the joints should be able to click out.
Okay. It looks like that. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the bow looks amazing.
Okay.
I just don't like it for this Storm Shadow. That's my major thing. Like my first instinct when
compound bows that compact?
That I don't know. I haven't really like.
It just looks wrong to me in that it looks like it's folded in on itself. So you've got this in its kind of low profile storage mode, but can it click out and be in its like I'm about to make someone go away mode? You know, I'm about to kill someone with an arrow. I don't know. It's useless to me as an accessory if it can only be worn and never be like used as a weapon.
Yeah. So for all we know, there is an image of him holding the bow, if I'm not mistaken, in the press images or in the promo shots.
I just took a sampling of what I just deemed the most exciting. But in none of them, none of the photos have
now
the
that
bow
you
in
mention
any kind of extension.
So maybe that's meant to be the full extension. Maybe that's how it is. It's supposed to be small and compact, which also makes sense because then you can imagine that it could get even more small and compact. But let me talk about some of the wins, like the real wins on this toy. Like I know I've like mentioned the Tetris block camouflage being this and that and the next thing, but firstly the techie, the metal claws, that is very cool. I like him having, techie kage. Oh, well, let's just go with the techie with the metal claws. I love his hand options, like his flat hands. I think that's great. Finally, I don't understand why they don't give all the classified figures hand options, but especially like your ninjas and your martial arts style characters, because they can't be like this all the time. If you know what I mean, like that, like Kung Fu grip all the time.
Mm.
It's fine for the vintage line because that serves a purpose. But here, if you can change them, give them like variations. So yes, you can have cool meditating poses like the one that we're showing now on the YouTube version of this. I like the rope. There's a lot of things to like about this toy. It's just, and
Do you like the red accents?
I don't hate them. Yeah, to be honest, the original has red stuff going on with it as well. So,
True.
it doesn't bug me. The katana is a bit of an odd choice, but then you could always just give him like tanto or something from somewhere else if you want him to look more authentic. Again, it's just weird that I just don't like I love that you can at least take the scabbards off. That's cool. Like at least you can do that. You can do away with that with the saya. You can take them away, but like. So that's a goodie, but yeah, my first instinct when I saw this figure was like, oh, cool. I want to get that for the extra hands for my other Storm Shadow, And then
thinking
I
about
started
it now,
seeing,
guys, with the bow, yeah, absolutely. The way a compound bow, at least in my imaginings, works is it has all those sort of pulleys and extra, like it runs the cord through these arms to create extra tension. So you're making it compact, but still having the same length of cord and same tension as a much bigger bow by using a system of pulleys. So yeah, maybe it is actually that compact. It doesn't unfold even in a kind of an imagined version, but it is upside down in the photograph that I'm showing. Because I think we can all agree that the handle is the part that has this sort of hand guard.
Yeah, dude, I can't honestly
So you still
answer
fail.
that.
Still fail, photographer man.
I can't honestly answer that because I actually don't know if that counterweight is meant to be on the top or the bottom. It's something I don't know. But I have drawn one of these bows before. I have drawn a compound before, and it's a lot of work, man. Like a recurve is way more fun. It's more honest. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway,
but let's
come
see.
at me in the comments if I'm
anyway.
wrong. Does anyone else have anything they want to add in the topic of all of these releases? Rob, Cooch, you guys have been in stunned silence.
Well, I don't know. It just got so far away from Cobra-La that I was like, whoa, where are we going tonight?
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Detour here.
Uncharted territory into the Himalayas.
Well, I'll weigh in on. First of all, it's always I love running into all these folks that we don't see all the time, but I want to say Hans Chow said that it feels like the figure experience is maybe out of balance. Like, spend as much time on the artwork. We don't need We don't need a dozen accessories for everybody. I mean, that's what weapon packs were cool for back in the day. So let Valis sell weapons. Get the figures right. So I do like the flexibility on that Storm Shadow figure, but Paul's right. The color balance is off. Those lines break up the figure too much. How are you going to draw that as an artist? How are you going to do that? But yeah. Shall we Destro up?
I think we should. What is going on with Destro?
Well, if you were to give us a one sentence summary of this issue, what would it be? Wrong issue.
I can give you a one word, but are we going to go around the table?
Paul, you can tell us.
You can go for
intriguing.
Intriguing.
Wow,
it's a good word.
Oops. That is such a cool word. It's a lot of syllables.
Yes. So I got in there.
I don't know. War's good. I don't know.
How do you want to approach? You want to talk about like the art or the story?
We're not going to do a blow by blow if that's what you're asking.
Nah, we talk about whatever, hone in on the themes. Hone in on what you...
So this is a general spoiler warning for anyone who wants to read this book and doesn't want to be spoiled. We bid you adieu. Come back to us when you've read some paper, or if you've lost interest and you just want to hear us talk.
Let's timestamp it at 51 minutes and a half. Dan Waters, that's the writer. He's from the UK. We got Andre Breeson, I think, is the inker, and maybe Adriano Lucas is the colorist.
Yeah,
very good.
I'll do a
Rasputin
pop-up.
as the leper.
I'll do a quick pop-up review of an earlier comic I got because it might kind of inform how I talk about this one. But I did take a chance. I went to the comic book store and I picked up Django #1. They just did a mini series with him in Star Wars. I read that comic and it depressed me, guys, for various reasons. But it kind of informs me on this comic a little bit. But yeah, I would say if I'm looking at a Destro comic, what am I looking for? I'm looking for people who know how to draw guns, who are going to draw tech, take the time to detail it, and make sure that you get Destro's character right and his mannerisms. Because there's a couple that came up that had me scratch my head. So that's where I'll start.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more to get into this one, I think, than the other 3 miniseries we've had so far. Like, there is action going on, but the action isn't so much the focus. It's more about like how the events are playing out and how Destro kind of approaches them and how either they work in his favor, they work against his favor. But even when things are going bad for him, I mean, the issue ends with with him getting bombed, but he's still very excited about like, I don't know who these people are, but I'm excited to see this weaponry they're using against me. Well, that's kind of the impression I got by the end of the issue. He's kind of like, he's very gleeful about like being in the middle of this carnage, but he's got something new that he doesn't know what it is, and it's an opportunity.
Transformer dropped his missiles.
Well, was it a transformer? I don't know.
We'll find out in the second issue, I suppose. But
oh my,
yeah,
God.
like Rob, to echo what you're saying there's a cool line that's uttered actually by the twins, by Zaymot and Tomax, and what setbacks are just opportunities. You know, it's something along that line. And like, I feel like that kind of spirit is embodied by Destro as well. And it's interesting, like, you know, that his character is, you know, he's a total like capitalist, you know, with bombs, and it's fun. It's been kind of fun. Yeah.
Look, it's nice to see Destro going about his business, because all too often he was like just the sort of second in command of Cobra. He was a military leader, but no, I mean, he's a businessman, albeit a businessman at gunpoint. Like he's sowing the seeds of war, basically for profit, for commerce.
He's a
that's
lord
his
of
aim.
war.
That's all he's really interested in. That's his bottom line. So seeing him go about that as opposed to like fighting GI Joe constantly, it gives this character more life. We get to get an insight into him that has been remiss. Like, the most interesting part of this book for me is when he goes back to this massive crypt in the Scottish Highlands.
Oh yeah.
Very private moment. Just him sort of trekking through the snow, and he talks to his ancestors, because that makes him out to be a superstitious man. I mean, we've always known him to be a man of traditions, but like there's certain elements in the cartoon specifically that bear out this like mystical side, this magical, esoteric. Yeah, exactly. And here we see it embedded in the comic book, because there's something Dr. Doom about him. He's equal parts tech and equal parts magic to me.
Yeah.
In this presentation. Like,
is it maybe going a bit too far? I don't know. If that,
well, look, we haven't seen any actual magic. I'm just like, he's clearly not an idiot, but he's still superstitious enough to commune with the spirits of his ancestors, even if it's only playing out in his mind.
My one issue with this location, because let's say it is a Dr. Doom or something that will be revisited, give it some presence. I thought the artist was a little sloppy with the lines. Like, if it's rocks, if it's architecture, make sure we feel it. I mean, people can still travel the hallways of Silent Castle. Like, if you're drawing Joe, get the locations down.
Well, Cooch, you mean you just made
it does feel very kind of like
everything's floating.
Decay, rocks and architecture start like blending into one. Like, ancient steps become rounded off and become smooth and become just slopes.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so there's
my money is that he's not superstitious. My money is that there is actually something supernatural in that space.
Whoa. So you think there's something crazy going on there? These people are still
Ooh.
alive in those masks. And he keeps his
I
ancestors
think-
alive.
I think we've had enough evidence in the other 3 books let's say the other 2 books, because Scarlet hasn't quite started cooking yet, but there's enough evidence in the Cobra Commander thing to sort of tell me that these writers, they have been they've been referencing a Real American Hero to some degree, and the Sunbow animated series. And I feel like they're
big
going
one
to
at the end of the book.
So
go ahead, Paul.
before we get to that, Cooch, sorry, my man. So
No, you're
I
good.
think we are going to get some kind of abyssal creature that lives at the bottom of all of this.
Wow, I think I don't know. I think that's a reach. I feel like he's
It's in the cartoon.
No, you're right.
So-
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, brother.
It's in the cartoon. And
It's
also
cute that they've got Darklon. That's great. And they sidestepped
Cool
a
that-
bit of a landmine by not giving him his Darth
That's
Vader
bait.
mask.
That's bait right there.
I
One.
love that he's unhelmeted and that he looks like such a punk.
Well,
Sergey.
nope. I'm not feeling that. But
No, you're not. Okay.
well, like, you show me the mask. You're telling
Okay.
me there's no mask? That's underdesigned. Have him holding the mask. Have him looking at
Bro,
it.
he's got red pants and a lime green shirt. You're calling him underdesigned.
Well,
He's
that's
busy as
the
all hell.
signature. It's the signature. I need the
But
mask.
that's what kind of sells it, though. The mask sells it. But I suppose in a book where like your main
stop it right
character
there.
has a
Stop it
mask.
right there.
You want to see Destro?
Well, I want to talk to our man in the UK, Dan Waters. Does Destro smile at somebody capping themselves, or does he just push him out of the chair and keep moving? I don't think he cares about that. I feel like that characterization doesn't hit. This is if you're doing Destro right, this is the weight it has to carry. And I know you can depart, you can do different versions, but can you hear Arthur Burkhart saying these lines? In most case, yeah, I can. But Burkhart's not smiling while somebody takes their life. He's a businessman. It's calculated. Get out of the way so I can get in. You know, I didn't feel
I
that.
don't know. I think
That's not Destro to me.
I feel like I like that he feels amused with the fact that his strategy worked out. He's kind of like, he's satisfied that he didn't have to do much to get the result he wanted.
I'll take that.
Destro likes to play chess. That's the vibe that I've always gotten from Destro, and he's honorable, which is something that so guys, I think this is worth mentioning. This book is intriguing to me because I did not know what to expect from a Destro comic. I went into this going, wow, how are they going to Destro is great as as a side character, or he's great to fill in some moments of the AROL book and to be a counter villain to Cobra Commander. But if you put a spotlight solely on him, how's this going to play out? And it's something I've personally never really given that much thought to. So for me, I was going in with no preconceptions, I wasn't oh, they're gonna play him like this or whatever. I was genuinely interested to see what they would do with him. And in this book, what I feel that they've managed to do is they've shown us how cunning Destro can be. They've shown us that he's honorable, that he's kind, that he actually has got a weird sense of kindness built into him. And they've shown that there's a very esoteric and eccentric side to him as well. They've done this all in one book.
And backbone.
Super impressive.
Let me add that we
Yes.
see him standing up to Cobra Commander. I mean,
Oh
at
yeah.
the end of Cobra Commander's miniseries, he
I'm
seemed
not
very
just born with it.
kowtowing, very
Yeah.
like a whipped dog. But here he's giving Cobra Commander a lot of shtick, just setting up the fact that I'm not your employee, you're not my boss. We're in a business partnership. I supply the weapons, you supply the energon. That's how it's gonna go. You need me, I need you, and leave me alone. He hangs up on the Cobra Commander. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, Destro, and it's cool because Destro has to have that energy, and also we now know how many what kind of balls you have to do that to Cobra Commander, because now we've seen how
dangerous
hardcore
Cobra
Commander is. Exactly. So it's
Now,
great.
something I want to hang a lantern on, guys. Did anyone find it a weird left turn that we focus on this brunette, this girl in her red swimming costume? Astoria Carlton Ritz.
I wanted to Google her. I'm not gonna lie. And
What
then I was
stopped you?
like, Steven's gonna. What stopped me is that Steven's gonna tell us in the episode.
Do you like
And I was-
having your things unveiled to you by yours truly, Paul? Or you just like,
I
"Ah,
do.
I couldn't be
It
asked
makes
to do
me
the
excited
research.
to
I know
look for-
Steven will."
Because yeah, well, dude, I could do the research and then I can listen to you talk and I can like sit here and be like, yeah, I know this stuff because like.
All
I
right.
Googled it.
So there's
It's
a
fun,
big sort of weapons fair, you want to call it? I don't know, where arms dealers
Gun
and
con.
technology firms sort of meet and showcase their wares. Everyone's at this one except notable absence, Extensive Enterprises, because they're in Sierra Gordo, I don't know, sowing the seeds of revolution with their Crimson Guard.
Mm.
Anyway, so Astoria Carlton Ritz is the CEO of Hybrid Technologies after her father passes away. Hybrid Technologies, we can presume, do high tech stuff, perhaps weapons. Unclear at this point. She's got an interest in what Destro's peddling. She has her origins in the Sunbow Transformers cartoon. The episode entitled "The Girl Who Loves..." What? No, I've gone blank. The Girl Who Fell in Love with Powerglide. I'm paraphrasing. Something to that effect. I watched it last night.
But now she
I've
loves
seen it
D,
before.
the big D.
The gigantic robot. I mean, I shit you not, guys. She actually is in love with Powerglide. Like blind puppy dog, like teenage love. She sees this robot and she's like all about the robot. She can't, I mean, to an obsessive degree. She's clearly got a few screws loose. But Powerglide leans into it by the end. It's quite possible we have an interspecies romance on our hands here between a human and a Cybertronian. Why wouldn't they? It's bizarre. It also showcases some delightful, like very 80s relationship stuff, which hasn't aged well. There are at least 2 instances where Powerglide backhands her, like full on slaps her. Bad times, man. Because her character quirk is that she might be the CEO of this massive technology company, but she's not allowed near any of their plants because she's got that kind of, is it wild card? Basically, she comes in contact with technology, it breaks. That's her curse.
Okay, she has a tech curse. That's unfortunate. So they can never touch. No.
Hold on.
Oh, that's funny. Like Rogue. But anyways, that's why there was this weird moment where the sort of arms fair is being bombed by these drones. Destro's like, we're under attack. And she's looking up at the sky saying, it's beautiful. It's like, oh, machines blowing up in the sky. Ooh. I don't know. How did you guys read that moment?
That she loved chaos. That's how I read it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Could you wanted to add something?
No, I was just going to say, if anybody's seen that horror movie Barbarian, it goes from like a horrifying moment to a smash cut where somebody's driving along the coast. That's what that pool scene feels like, where it's like you see all like bats tearing people apart and all of a sudden somebody's at the pool. I can see that being a nice cinematic cut, but I'm going to call it the artist. Cool. Guys, you're working on GI Joe. These panels are too flat. Like, of course, Andre, of course, dude, we're paying attention to your work. It's international. Take the time. I don't know what they're paying you. Take the time. It's GI Joe, baby. We'll appreciate you. We'll celebrate you.
Actually,
the girl who loved Powerglide. I looked it up.
How dare you? I can feel that. Yeah, there's kind of a flatness to it to a degree.
Well, especially in the pool scene, you got too many people floating on page. At the arms fair too. I'd be down to look at that arms fair page again.
Of course, I'd be down to look at Iron Grenadiers in their classic presentation, riding to spoilers, but we'll save that for later.
Nice use of photographs.
Ooh,
Tracing
dear.
those out.
Robbie doesn't like. Okay, the arms face. So we've got
Where,
lovely.
what do you mean? Where did you see the tracing of photographs, Steve? What? Oh, I suppose we'll get to that moment, Donna. But
No, we literally
Guys-
just got what Stephen was just
scrolled
talking
past
about.
it. Right, guys.
Mhm.
The only misstep, not misstep. The only criticism I have for
criticism
this
you have.
for this comic books art, is I just sometimes feel the facial expressions are sometimes wrong for the moment in the book for which they are meant to be in. So
Mhm.
like sometimes they nail it dead on with Destro having like a sly smile, and you know that's something that Cujo mentioned earlier in the episode. But then there's moments where I think Destro's expression is off for the scene, and I felt that with a few characters where I just feel like the comic expression, the comic emotion is not coming through like that well, or that the artists themselves don't have that strong a grasp of it. And hey, listen, please, like, I'm not saying that they don't draw well. I think they draw incredible. I actually like the art style of this book quite a lot. It's just the emotional stuff that sometimes is a bit off. But hey, it's a difficult thing to get right, especially if you're on a new book. You know, you might find in the second book they've got it nailed down. So, you know, that's my only criticism for this. All so far, anyway.
Tank
Otherwise.
guys can call me out, but is that a 1940s German Tiger tank that Darklon's peddling?
Hard time.
Wow. Even down to
It might be as
the
a collectible.
the Wehrmacht symbol. But yeah, we get his first name, Artyom Darklon.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Mhm.
The new installed despot of Darklonia. I mean, it seemed like his birthright with a surname like that.
Mhm.
We will
Anyways,
see
guys,
the mask.
I
though.
love
That's what
seeing
you guys are
toys on the
predicting?
page, and I'm always going to be happy when we
will
see.
the mask for sure.
Okay.
Something to hang to put a spotlight on actually in that
Mhm.
shot with the convention. They've got a his tank that looks a lot like the his 3. I think it's the his 3 or the his 4.
Yeah, Target exclusive.
Yeah, and it's also red.
Nice.
But in my opinion, I personally hate that design. So I kind of feel like this design, well, that design of the his tank was put in here because I don't think that everything here is meant to be the best of the best of the best kind of situation. So I think this is like it's a failed prototype, or it's not their best like work, and I think they kind of also trying to show they didn't like that tank either. Like maybe that could have been an editorial note or something.
It's
But
just
hey,
there
this is
for
just a thought.
historical importance, I think.
Yeah,
Like, no one's going to be buying a tiger. Well, I mean,
or
unless to put in the
his
museum.
4. Yeah.
So
But
do
yeah,
we feel
guys,
we have
I'm
like
all
a
about the
good
toys.
sense of like who Destro is after this issue? Kind of like who he is, what he's on about.
Yeah, I got that feeling, Rob. Like, why do you
Like
feel like
I
they
know, I'm
didn't
just
quite get
asking.
there,
Like, do you
or-
feel you know
Oh,
him
yeah.
well enough that that you kind of have a good sense of like who he is, and you can kind of anticipate like what he's going to do next? I mean, do you feel like you know Destro a bit better by the end of the issue? It's
think
not
we
just all
get to-
setup of the world and where they're going.
I'll say this. That's like a prime Arnold. He could play that. Not
He'd be
current Arnold,
great,
because he's
actually.
canceled for reasons I won't talk about. But no, I don't. I don't. I want to see more control out of his Destro's facial expressions. I'm not intimidated by him, at least not in this picture.
It's difficult for him to be intimidating because, I mean, in the Energon universe, they have kind of set up Mercer as kind of this giant man that does. He is subordinate to Destro, so he's
But
no
he makes
longer
Destro
kind of the
look
most.
small.
He does.
when
He's no longer
Destro
the
should
most
always-
physically imposing guy in the room. Like,
There you
it was
go.
often his height that kind of added to his stateliness. He's kind of like he is a very important person, not just physically, but yes, physically, and not just because of his attitude.
They could have done a tuxedo version of Mercer. Deep cut.
Ooh, I would love that.
That
Yeah,
you
that would
peel
make
off
a
and the
great
wetsuit is underneath.
For the YouTube guys, the panel that we're actually showing on screen right now with Mercer chatting to Destro, this is exactly the example that I was referring to with the art. I think Destro's expression here is completely off. It feels like Mercer's like trying to tell Destro something fun he's going to do later, and Destro's like not into it. Like, sorry, Mercer, kind of. I'm like, I'm not into that. Like it looks like Mercer. It looks like Destro's being hit on. Is basically what I'm saying, and that Destro's not interested. That completely messes up the emotional space of the shot.
It
And I'm
could
sorry,
be a
artist.
disconnect.
Like-
Well, it could be a disconnect
Yeah.
between like how the scene was originally laid out and how the words were added in later.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't match the original concept for the panels.
So, but that's my
Possibly.
issue. Like that seems to be a thread that I found within the art. Like it's not consistently like the right thing, and so this was just a great example of that. Yeah, like Rob, to answer your question, I do definitely get a strong sense of who Destro is in this world. But thankfully, all of us have been GI Joe fans for a long time, so we kind of have an idea who he is. So this book was just great that it reaffirmed that, it's the Destro we know and love, but with more stuff to find out. What is really fascinating in this book, aside from Destro, are the twins.
And my question to you guys, which twin has the better hair? Hey. We get to compare them on the same panel. I mean, it's an amazing
Foppish.
80s buffon.
Quaff.
Quaff.
Yeah.
Cujo, as the long hair on the pod. Mind you, Paul, you've got long hair these days.
Well, mine got trimmed.
Yeah,
So
A
Yeah.
little bit.
true.
But Cuj, you've got quite a immaculate, like...
Well, I have
puff.
a scar right here under my eye, so I'm gonna have to go with the dude with the scar.
Team Zaymot.
Yeah.
It looks like Team Zaymot's had a bit of a blowout. Like he's had, it's been blow dried into like
True.
a sort of puff.
If they colored this
Whereas-
right, there should be pit stains on everybody. It looks hot as hell there.
Yeah,
Does
they do look
actually.
a
The
little
hair
bit
would never
too-
actually be that big in that climate.
It's true.
Yes, it should be slicked and stuck to the heads. Like, yeah, absolutely. Everyone should be sweating their tits off.
They should be throwing their hands through their hair every scene.
Guys, can we just acknowledge the Prophet Director in the comments is on fire today? Mercer
Yeah.
is not much. And just to weigh in on Powerglide and the girl who loved him, maybe Powerglide has a vibrating function.
It's possible.
What does that mean?
I wouldn't put it past the writers. I wouldn't.
It could mean a lot of things. But it's nice to know that I mean the people who are writing this and the way that they're setting up the universe, they are introducing characters. I mean, as you said, the woman is a character from the cartoons, and they are kind of taking their time to set up Extensive Enterprises and Tomix and Zaymot at the same time as Destro, kind of expanding on.
It looks like they borrowed that Fu Manchu guy from The Walking Dead.
Oh,
Doesn't it? He somehow made it from the zombies only to be ended here.
Also love that. Is it Termex or Zaymot on that one shot? Looks a lot like the dude from Aha. There we go. Take on me.
It's Termex.
Is this the
Nice.
first time we're seeing the Crimson Guards? Because I would have liked to have seen some
I
cleaner.
think
action.
so. Yeah.
Don't rush the action, guys.
Well, it's
So-
such a jarring jump for me because we had those like very nondescript Destro like security guys in Cobra Commander. No, in Duke, sorry. They just look like riot cops with red visors. And now all of a sudden we are we have jumped to Crimson Guards and Iron Grenadiers being presented in their immaculate uniforms. And I'm like, wow, where did everyone suddenly make the jump into supervillainy with all these amazing uniforms? Like, they were very nondescript prior to this, which is
Well,
a safe
I mean,
mid-ground.
Blood himself had his, his kind of like bloodhound gang, or whatever they
They
were, and
looked
even
like-
they had to a certain degree had a color scheme that was going on there. So it's been established, but I think they are kind of leaning more towards the even more established like versions of these characters, kind of like
Oh, I'm here
marking them
for it.
out in your heads,
As a fan of the toys, first and foremost, I don't want to see nondescript designs in my comic pages. I want to see the toys.
You want to see the toys, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's call it the extensive enterprises section of the book. with
Okay.
Zaymot and Tomax is really like it's quite fascinating and quite an awesome like juxtaposition to Destro, because
There's your sweat
Destro
cooch.
is there we go,
Nice.
they're sweating. So you got Destro
One panel.
in the beginning of this book doing what he does, where he helps to reclaim Darklonia. And when you're introduced to that moment, it does seem quite brutal, and it does seem a little sadistic, especially because you feel that those bats that Destro had actually intended for the bats to also then shoot the rioters because of the way that they paced the dialogue. And hopefully, for those of you who have read it, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't care about spoilers that haven't read it, hopefully this still keeps it a bit interesting for you. But so you think, wow, Destro is kind of bad and kind of heartless. And then you got these two. And then you're like, no, actually, compared to them, Destro is kind of a puppy dog. Like, and them being like Zaymot and Tomax, they are truly cruel. And that is displayed here. And I think we needed this because we needed to see that Destro and Extensive Enterprises are essentially providing a very similar service. And now we're getting an understanding of of who the service providers are. And I love that, because before, whenever we've discussed Extensive Enterprises and Zaymot and Tomax, we've always been like, they're the money guys, they're the twins, they're bankrolling this. We've never really gotten that true sense of how wicked and evil they actually are. And we've seen some interesting like takes on their characters with like renegades, etc. But it's cool to see them being this evil. I love that about this series of books. The Energon books has really taken stuff to 11. It's awesome.
You got to keep the stock prices up at Extensive Enterprises. If you got to garrote somebody to keep those points up, do it.
Heck yeah, man.
Oh, the stock dropped? There's a window. Get jumping.
Well, that's them.
Yeah,
they both they both less than zero, man. They're like,
Guys, the spoilers. I guess they're not just Destro's chariot. These are like for general use for the Iron Grenadiers to ride into battle. And
well, the way that they kind of size in this, it definitely is a mass-produced thing. It feels
they're not much bigger.
majestic.
They are absolutely just like kitty cart flying machines.
Which makes them cool. Like Destro has his own trouble bubbles. Good.
Yes, true. I mean, he also has the AGP. What would you class that as? If it's not a trouble
bubble. That's more a trouble bubble than what the spoilers would be. Crap, actually. Which no,
Fangus.
The AGP is like a locust, and then the spoilers are like trouble bubbles. Like,
okay,
I mean, for now.
That. Which is faster, an AGP or a Skyhawk?
I would compare everything to modern day scooters. That one with the one wheel in the middle where people are standing, that's probably that one. No. The rental scooters, that's probably a Skyhawk.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because Destro made it, I'm gonna say the AGP.
Sure.
I want to believe.
How dare you?
It's a Mars thing, man. Like, yeah.
Well, as we get closer to the end of the book, I would say, of course, vehicles, lock counter designs. Yeah, well, get some flow on that necklace, guys. It's not that heavy.
Must I be surrounded by fools?
But no, I think one thing they did get right, the colorists turned up. The colors feel like Destro throughout the book, like when it's.
Oh yeah.
So I thought they did some good thematic colors here. I'm gonna read.
Writing's also cool.
You guys got me into it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep going with it as well. I mean, not just because it's GI Joe and we talk about it on the show, but like it's cool that they are telling different types of stories, and it's nice to see different parts of the world of the GI Joe world as they build it up. So probably personally not my favorite. I really do prefer the kind of like more action-packed stories that we've had in Duke. And in
with
Scarlet,
a tighter focus
kind
on the solitary character.
Yeah, it was a very
Destro
much
tries
tighter.
to be.
It's everywhere, and they are kind of. It feels the most world building of the 4 miniseries we've gotten so far. But I'm here for it because it is different. And I'm willing to accept that it has a. Which I suppose also connects to Destro as well. His focus isn't laser sharp. It is about what he sees is much wider than just himself. Like he has grander plans than for himself, and I think the focus of the book reflects the character himself. So,
what's one scene you want to see before the series is over? I gotta see him at the chessboard. You gotta have him at the chessboard once.
That'd be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, put him in front of a chessboard. I think some sort of conflict between him and the twins. Maybe not like a physical conflict, but some sort of like fight between the Iron Grenadiers and the Crimson Guard. I think would be really
Good one.
Ooh.
Good one.
There's some sort of like great big thing going on because this guy seems to be able to do the vehicles really well. Whether he's tracing it or whether he's drawing it freehand or however he gets it done.
Who cares? It's drawn.
His tech looks really good. So I'm very excited to. That would be a cool scene for you guys.
I want to see Destro speaking to their ancestral god.
Wow. Okay, you want to see
that
the crypt monster coming up, and the
I want to see that
little masks on it.
I'm
maybe
so
that's
glad
what
that
the statues are. Like the faces push out and like these tentacles behind it, and they start speaking to him.
Ooh.
maybe there's a thing. Like I want to see that because. And it made me so happy earlier in this episode when Stephen informed us of who that that girl is,
that woman,
female character is,
because
that's further cemented. That's further cemented my whole belief that we're going to see something like that in this book. And listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's like no harm, no foul. Cool,
for
whatever.
Sure.
But if they do it, I'm going to be very happy
when that time comes.
Yeah. No, Rob, you will let me know how wrong I am.
I would also you gotta have him fire his rockets, his wrist rockets, pretty early in the series. Don't make us wait for that, guys. Don't do that. He's got to use weapons in a proficiency that nobody else in the room, or he has to show some kind of like where people are like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Let me combine this AK with a Magnum," something like that.
Cool.
We MacGyver this shit.
Hell yeah.
Stand back, woman. I'm going to MacGyver this shit.
Well, they set it up, so I'm going to say it. One scene I want to see out of this series: Transformers hentai.
Oh, Steven.
All right.
Transformers, more than just hentai.
You just made $1 million.
All right, you animals.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit about what's happening on the other side of the fence with Larry Hama's GI Joe?
Well, let me dip out so I can enjoy you guys later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Give us some thoughts, dude.
Well, hey, this month I have it's a new convention circuit, but Colorado Springs Comic Con goes down in July. Ray Park will be there, so I'm going to talk to him about all his dialogue in the Joe movie, obviously. But no, hopefully I'll turn up there. Aside from that, I just want to send out good vibes. Like, I know there's Joe community out there, and they have been killing it. And I did see somebody like in the tweet, somebody's like, why are we supporting these people where, counterculture is slapping us in the face, etc. And you're like, you support because Hama still turns up. You support because GI Joe is still the same. It's still like GI Joe. Who cares who you are? Are you good at what you do? Turn the F up, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and
if
I think
you're
it's
gonna drive gold AK, get that stuff clean, guys. Do that.
Hell yeah.
But
well, Cooch, thanks for joining us, pal.
Hey, I love you guys. It's all love. This deep in the game, it's all love.
Hell yeah. 333. I mean, it's incredible. Like we've made it.
Thank you for bringing that full circle, brother.
Hell yeah. Thank you for always being there for us, dude.
Deadly pencils.
And have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and see you on the other side.
Cheers, guys.
Peace.
Sweet. Guys, can I just preface this by saying that I was
Kuja pulled out at the right point. He pulled out at the right point. this. But I interrupted you, Paul. What were you trying to say?
I could not get my hands on this book.
Okay.
Our usual thoughts for some reason on my side,
Paul,
couldn't find it anywhere.
Whatever you thought about the last issue, it applies to this one too.
Oh, fantastic. So this is going to be quick.
Only two things happen. Or no, three things happen in this issue. Revanche
happen?
lands a new stealth bomber on Cobra Island, and
Whoa.
Serpento Khan's like, I want more.
Hmm.
Cobra
I like
Commander's obviously
these.
very concerned
Give
about
me
this.
some more of these. Yeah, because
Second thing that
they've seen
happened-
satellite imagery. Yeah, okay, keep
The
going.
real Zartan shows up at Castle Destro and announces
Mhm.
himself to Destro, and he's like, "You've got a robot infiltrator." And Destro's like, "Yes, I know.
I know.
We're gonna like
No,
just
duh,
we're
I'm
we're
Destro.
gonna tease this out a little bit longer." And the third thing that happened, because Dawn Moreno's now back at the pit, she
Mhm.
gets the satellite footage of her
Her
parents,
parents
being,
getting gunned down.
well,
Yeah,
potentially. We don't see it
potentially gunned
definitively.
down.
I mean, the rest is like there's an extended action sequence on Cobra Island, but like, the upshot of that is nothing.
Essentially,
Helix's
and like
team is being chased by various.
once again,
Cobra
like it's
zombies.
very inconsistent. Like we get teased for things coming up. Like we get introduced this jet. There's the tease of like, oh, we specifically change the way the jet is set up so that the launch tubes for the bomb bay is vertical and not horizontal, which suggests something coming up and interesting. Like we're being teased what it could be, but we're not being told, which I actually prefer, because that doesn't often happen in the series so far,
Okay.
that we are teased an event and not just outright told over and over again what you're seeing, what's happened, what's happening next, and people aren't just constantly talking about what you've just seen, and this issue especially, it's like suddenly I don't know, Larry remembered satellite imagery is a thing, so everyone on every single side of this conflict is looking at satellite imagery,
and being able to
and
look at each other quite
this is a
directly.
wonderful waste of pages where the Joes are like, they have these bombers, who do you think they're going to be
Mumbas.
attacking, Duke? Who do you think they're attacking? Well, they could be coming for
Thank
the pit.
you.
But if
Sorry.
they're not coming for the pit, I wonder who they could be coming for. Well, Duke, maybe it's Cobra. Maybe it's Cobra they're going after. Yeah, that's a real good idea, mind wiper. That's real good.
Rodimus Prime. Sorry, mainframe.
Mainframe.
So sorry, I just had to remark because as we've been as Steve's been like scrolling the pages for the video version of this,
Furiously.
I caught a glimpse of the Fang 2 and the Mamba, and seeing those two vehicles in a comic book just makes me very happy. If anything, that gets this book at least 1 star for me.
That's the thing that you really cannot complain about the series. Like there is literally
vehicle
zero
porn.
complaints you could possibly have with the art. Like I would
Yeah.
love to just be able to talk about the art in conjunction with how it heightens the stories. But it's gorgeous art. I mean, and Paul Pelletier really does render everything from GI Joe fantastic.
Laser Viper.
He gets
so cool.
he gets the looks of the characters really good, and he makes them into real things that exist in the comic world. Like Laser Vipers, as Paul just said, the Mambas look absolutely gorgeous. But it's wasted on.
The ferret is the classified version. It has the trappings of the more modern update. It's kind of
Oh, and they also remembered that Psychout exists, and it is the classic version of Psychout.
Is he still alive?
He is.
Didn't
He's very
Psychout
much...
also die?
No, not Psychout.
No,
He's alive.
not Psychout.
They don't let him out of the pit these days.
Oh wait! Like Psychout is okay. I see. So Psychout is consoling Dawn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That's why we've rolled him out, because that's that's his
Okay.
purpose. So, while I'm praising the fact that we kind of getting teased early in the issue with the way that the stealth jets are being set up, the reveal of Zartan kind of showing up later on, and the fact that Destro, all Destro has to do in that scene is basically say, yeah, we already know, is just the opposite of how cool it would have been. I think I did say this at the time, if we didn't know that they knew, or we didn't even know, it would be more interesting to suddenly see that this is, oh wow, okay, like there is a consequence, or a it has more weight to it, that this reveal is occurring now. It's like, oh my goodness, this is Zartan, this other guy isn't Zartan. because we did waste our time, with that whole sequence in one of the previous issues where we see Zartan being chased, and we're having a wasted scene where it's like Zartan discussing with the rest of the Dreadnoks, what are we gonna do, boys? Or we're gonna go get up in with Destro. So there's a lot of wasted dramatic moments, with which would have been more impactful and more interesting if we didn't have this. We weren't shown certain things. I don't know.
Hey man, at least they've
sense.
populated the frames with a demon and a razorback. Yay!
Yeah. As I said, you cannot complain about the art. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous.
There's vehicle porn all over the
read
place.
it. These are wonderful owned for the art. I will tell you, my colleague at work, she loves Paul Pelletier's art. Like, he is one of her absolute favorite artists. And she often, a lot of the comics she collects outside of X-Men, she's a huge X-Men fan, so she collects that for the story and the art to a degree. She mainly collects artists, like her favorite artists. So even though she isn't necessarily reading these comics, she's collecting these comics for the art. So my colleague, who is not into GI Joe but knows just a little bit enough, is buying these comics for the art. And absolutely incredible art. It says a lot. I mean, like she appreciates the art, and she can see how amazing his art is in these books. And yes, I mean, when Stephen mentions, the highlights of this issue, even though there is this huge, beautifully illustrated fight sequence chase throughout this entire issue, it's kind of overshadowed by the other boring bits that really don't go anywhere, unfortunately. It really is a very, very long, realistic game of chess that we're playing right now, actually in a raw. Very slowly moving these pieces across the board.
Yes.
And it's not amateur chess. This is like grandmaster level chess, where things will take a long time to set up, and whatever's happening is we're so many moves away from checkmate, and you can feel that the checkmate is far in the future.
It's like we're having to see all of these forces rebuild themselves. Like, after becoming mutants, the population of Cobra Island, like Serpentor Khan, has all these great schemes for domination, but he needs to very tediously build up, make his forces more elite. Mutants not good enough. We need to make them super blue ninja, revanche, cyborg. Like, okay, that's been put into motion and it's happening very tediously. Building, like, he's making his army, and we have to watch it in real time. I'm like, oh gosh, gone are the days of there just being conflict. Like, it exists in the world already, and our players are being pitted against each other within this world that already has all this stuff on the go. Like, we're watching things build up from zero again, and that's tough. That's a slog. It's meandering. That is the word that I come back to all the time.
It's how we describe every issue and more so as we get further, from 301 to where we are now, 307. We're 7 issues into this thing now, and they're still all sitting
conflicts are just
in their little
intel gathering.
spaces.
It's just intel gathering.
It's
nothing
they're constantly
definitive.
gathering intel, or they're losing the intel. Like, their intel efforts are ineffective, and then 1 or 2 things happen that slowly build up to something else.
Well, at least it's realistic.
It's frustrating. Oh, it's exceptionally realistic, even though
Paul, as the person who's now been spoiled and hasn't read the issue, are you likely to pick it up, give it a read?
I will read it just to get the detail of what you said, but I don't feel like anything's been spoiled. Like,
no, look,
I had those
hasn't moved
stakes.
the needle much.
Yeah, I have those stakes. It's like okay, Dawn's going for counseling now.
It's
Okay,
like
big move.
everything the reader knows already is now being unveiled to the characters in the book. But it's like, it's like we've had the punchline telegraphed to us a long time ago. It's just a case of like getting everyone else up to speed, which doesn't make for the most riveting read. Instead of surprising the audience, it's surprising the characters on the page, and we're just watching their surprise. Yeah,
guys, I mean, I've been very. I mean, I know that we have been like sort of mildly critical on this book, but I know that I have been a very critical voice on this book. At least against this book. And I'm still not feeling it. And I have faith in Larry Hama. Like, I think it's going to play out and it's going to be like kind of cool. But I still don't there is no climax for this story that I think is worth going through all of this for. Like, it's just like, fine. I like a slow burn. I enjoy slow burn. I love Dune. I can watch Dune and Dune 2. I've read Dune. Dune is a slow burn. But when it comes to, all the climax in Dune is like worth it. But this book is just, it hasn't proven that to me. And all the action scenes feel like filler. It all feels like stuff to like placate us. It's like, we'll put in an action scene here because we know that this is taking forever for us to get the gears in motion or whatever. I don't know. It's just, yeah, this book is, whatever climax comes from this, I don't think is going to be worth all this effort. And the only reason I'm going to read this book is because I want to see why Mambas are in play.
Yeah,
like, honestly.
But I mean, the wild
Mambas,
thing is that there's no, I don't know, I don't understand why it has to take so long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like he has to delay for certain releases, for toys to come out, or for things that tie into what he's doing to come out, so that when he gets to the big end scene, the action that occurs, he doesn't have to. It's nothing that connects to it. It's like it's you're writing the story. You can go wherever you want, but it feels like he doesn't really want to go anywhere. And I don't understand that. It's like
the other thing that I've had an issue with is that, like, all of the characters just feel really boring. Like, this the way they're written, and this is I don't know. Is this Larry Hama's fault? I don't know, but I just feel none of the characters feel interesting. Like GI Joe has always been like interesting, always. Like even like a bad GI Joe book is still interesting. That crap that we were reading earlier, where we were doing a countdown from like what was it, 300 downwards, like,
yeah, when we started, we did that for a bit.
That stuff was a slog, but at least in some respects, the way that the characterization was done was like a little bit more interesting. This just, I don't know. I don't like to be negative about anything, but I don't enjoy this segment of the podcast, if I can put it to you guys that way. Like, when
to give you guys an insight into behind the scenes, Stephen was like, "Oh, by the way, there was an issue 307 just came out." I was like, "Do we have to? Do we?"
Yeah, I actually, guys.
And Stephen was like, "Yeah, kind of, we do. I think people enjoy hearing us shit on something." So,
like my words exactly.
But guys, like, I honestly like when this feels like homework. Like this book, the 307, the 300 books right now, it feels like homework. I feel like, oh, I got to do it. And my thing is, like, I forgot about 307. Like, I remembered that 307 was out today, and then I was like, let me try, and I scrambled to try and get my hands on it, and I sadly couldn't, and like, I couldn't find it anyway, because I'd totally forgotten about it. I was like, yeah, Destro 1. Looking forward to Sunday. I get to read Destro 1. It's fresh in my brain. We're going to chat about Destro 1. That's going to be really interesting. I read Destro 1. I was like, yes, we're going to talk about Destro 1. This is going to be like really cool. And then I'm like, oh, 307. Oh, crap. I've got to find 307 to read. I really don't spend 180 rand on this book.
But still, it's G.I. Joe. It's beautifully illustrated. I'm excited.
It is.
I'm not excited, but I am interested to see where this will eventually go.
Right now,
and I'm hoping it goes somewhere cool, because he has done cool stuff. We've seen it, and he's done cool stuff recently as well, for other properties. But it's just interesting to see that. Yeah, we're waiting. Hopefully,
I got DJ
one day. Absolutely incredible. Stephen,
Are we segueing straight into new shit?
we're going straight into new shit. Let's do it. Stephen finally has a DJ. Paul needs a DJ, and we can finally discuss
I've got a DJ. I've got a complete DJ, dude.
Absolutely incredible, guys. Guess what we're talking about in 334?
And my point of curiosity on DJ specifically, with the boots, right?
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Is it a heel or is it just extra fabric on the front? Because if it's a heel, I submit to you that DJ is the shortest GI Joe. Because he's the standard height with heels.
I would agree with you that he is definitely sporting heels.
Whoa!
I think we're awesome. I think maybe we should speak about it for 334. We should like rock guys. DJ. Why not? The DJ.
Well, I won't get too heavily into the DJ.
Well, not live, but we wonderfully recorded episode 334 DJ.
334 DJ.
I have to bid you both adieu. You can finish out the show if you like.
Absolutely. We are minutes away from the end, but I'm
all right. Okay. Well, in that case,
is that all that you got new, Stephen?
That's it for me.
Stuff? Incredible.
Cool.
Paul,
guys,
what have you got?
I actually did get something. It's not sadly it's not GI Joe related.
Oh my god, is it Heberg? Is it Heberg?
No. It's Gunpla SA related.
Ooh.
I got a model kit. I got 2 model kits from the business. I got Go Lion, which most people will know as Voltron. A model kit of Voltron.
Go Lion.
And I've got a model kit of the Garland from Megazone 23. So
wild. That
is like Megazone 23 is one of my favorite anime OVAs, and I absolutely love the Garland's mech design. I love the idea of a mech suit that becomes a bike. Very much the same way I love the ride armor in Mos Pieta. So yes, I'm very happy to have that. And the included figure is quite close to GI Joe size. If GI Joe's if we classify GI Joe's 1 to 18th, I think the Shogo Yahagi is about 1 to 20.
I think we do. I think we definitely do classify them as in that range. What about there?
Moonlight is asking me here in the chats to do it as on the next build stream.
Well, there you go. It's happening, guys. Yeah. And come back to GI Joe at some point and Paul share cool pics of how incredible his new kits are.
Yes, I hopefully will. Yeah.
Thank you to everyone who joined us today. That's where I was going to go. Thank you to everyone, and especially the people who joined us on Facebook. Will Bell, Rob Dog, Macaulay, Christoph, thank you, and Abdiel.
Everybody.
And everyone here over on YouTube, Moonlight, Frostbite's GI Joe Repro, welcome. Rick was here earlier. He's booked out because he doesn't want us to ruin 307 for him.
Yeah, it can ruin itself.
He definitely can. And thank you to the Profit Director for keeping us entertained with the comments directly from Destro himself. And of course,
and thank you to our
what is an episode of GI Joburg without us thanking our patrons? We appreciate every single one of you guys. As always, you keep the lights on.
Super cool.
You keep the water running. You keep the oil flowing.
You keep the StreamYard subscription going.
you keep it possible for us.
But seriously, that
there's
kind
no
of stuff.
going back to Zoom. What were we using before this?
Skype.
What were we using?
Skype.
We were Skype.
God, yeah.
Is that dead?
I'm so glad I forgot about that. I don't know. It must be dead. But StreamYard's definitely the way to go. And also, I just feel like it's kind of cool to mention this. StreamYard's got an affiliate program. If you guys... There's an affiliate link in the comments below. If you hit that, you'll get a huge discount on your StreamYard. So if you're looking at starting a new and exciting podcast, if you guys are looking at starting a new and exciting podcast or streaming channel, then please use the link below and get yourself a subscription. And you'll get us, and you guys will get us a month free subscription if you hit that affiliate link and join them. So that's pretty rad. Yeah, so yeah, that'll be cool. But yeah, StreamYard is really the way to go for this kind of thing. It's so much easier. I use something called Streamlabs OBS, or otherwise known as Slobs. I use that for my other streaming that we do on Twitch for the Gundam kits. I gotta say that thing is so confusing, so cumbersome,
StreamYard,
so
it's really
glitchy,
straightforward.
irritates me.
Go check it out,
Yeah.
guys, and come back episode 334, where who could have predicted we're going to be talking about
DJ.
DJ?
Goodness me. The
Absolutely
character
I was just thinking,
introduced
so
and
we're
killed
gonna
off
talk
in the
about it in
same
334?
issue.
Amazing 1989 character. Same year Scoop, if you didn't know.
Oh.
Come back next week.
We're
for
gonna
Scoop.
play out with our Demons trailer. Now,
Oh!
Yes,
fair
Frostbite it
warning-
is.
So this is primarily to the YouTube crowd.
Oh.
There's a banging track that Paul created to accompany
Oh,
it.
thank you.
Well,
But
it's
I'm
going to
going
sound
to-
good to the podcast guys too.
I'm going to give fair warning to anyone listening to us on their earbuds. I haven't actually checked the volume levels of it.
Yeah, so careful,
So,
guys.
Be manning your volume button in case it
Paul's
really
tunes
just
could blow
gets
your
aggressive.
mind.
It
It's the
will.
clan.
It will blow your brain apart.
Blow your brains
These
out.
beats. And yes, Demons will drop on the 6th of July, which was our assigned Cobra Convergence Day. So we are in some small way still observing Cobra Convergence. I believe there will be some attempt at getting Cobra content every single day in July, and that is being spearheaded by Timmer. So props to
Good
Mr.
old
Belgian
Timmer.
Man, our buddy from across the pond, way up north, for flying the flag of Cobra Convergence.
Oh yeah,
yes,
check
we
out his
will be on the
channel if
6th
you
of
haven't
July.
yet.
Time to be determined, but I mean it'll be in whatever if I give you a time, it will be meaningless because just check the link once it's
Just
up.
check that. Check
Once the
social
premiere
media,
link is
come on
up, I
back,
will
come on
distribute
down,
it. Check it, and it will give you your local time. So without
and
further
produce
ado,
your own
sadness.
Cobra Convergence content for July, and yeah, go for it. Yo, Cobra.
nice.
But you should know in what precious little time you have left that you have lost. Oh, you have lost so totally, so completely, that history will only ever regard you and G.I. Joe with pity.
Inform the commander the experiment has been a great success.